Jamaica, they're trapped down in Jamaica. They can't even party. It's so unfair. Jafar? Not so fast, Jafar. Hello? Are you making... I hear noises. I hear I hear the voices always. I'm literally like, what is happening? It might be I am dog sitting, which is actually this is the last night for it, so we will no more pup in my house after this, unfortunately. But still beyond that, what was the thing now? But beyond that, same business as usual, if you will, and I will. I'm going to. You don't have the power to stop me. No. Oh, that was awful. So why am I so paranoid tonight? Maybe that's just my nature. No, I do frequently find myself enjoying the song "Someone Is Watching Me" by Rockwell. So maybe I should start taking that as a sign of my own internal dialogue. But regardless, let's animate a bit, you know? Let's do some good old animating. So the clip we're working on right now shouldn't be too hard, fingers crossed. Because, basically what we're just doing is making this crack open, and as the shell falls away, they turn their smiles upside down, and we see how upset they are to see that they might be in a spot of trouble. So I should really turn the background off. I love the background work I've done so far, but you know. I really wish I had an extra pair of hands to help with this, but like, so the dream scenario would be like, you know, I find someone equally passionate about animation and stuff, and wanting to join the project as I am. And then even though I might not be able to promise pay now, then we share in the success in the future. But here's the thing. Even though I feel like that, I'd be willing to keep my word on that. I know there's been enough situations where that's been a bad thing. That like, I'm not gonna try it. I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna try and take volunteers. People should be paid for their work, as wild a concept as that may seem. I should, if I have someone else brought onto this project, it should be because I have the proper compensation for them. You get paid in exposure. Hey Shadow Mage, I want you to look at I want you to do your own math on the numbers I have on Twitch and other platforms, and you tell me what exposure. What exposure am I going to give them they couldn't get by just making a TikTok account? A TikTok account and then reposting movie clips. To the harsh realities of life. There you go. Yeah, we pay you in the school of hard knocks here. That's a shitty school. I was getting passionate the other day in Discord. I really hate the phrase, well that's life. Like, no, fuck that. Are humans not the dominant species on the planet? You know? Are we so incapable of changing situations we have ourselves as engineered that we just need to accept things being awful? Because that doesn't seem right. You know? Okay. There's nothing really to add from these frames, so I'm gonna put those away right now. There's like a very exactly in certain, yeah. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are certain things you need to accept about life, like death. But when it's like about jobs or school or people being assholes to you, that's not life. Not everyone has to go through that in so many permutations. And like, it is very easy to go through life without having certain bad experiences. So, ironically, I would argue working for exposure and quote unquote experience is one of said examples. Delicious pomegranate blueberry. Seriously, I need to find out how to make this stuff. Guys, I should figure out what substances I'm putting in my body. The V8 has appeared. Is there a problem, Oak? Hello, Oak. I love you. Is there a problem? There, you know. Also, I did make an announcement in Discord today about how I might be changing up stream soon, and that the times I'll be doing it is basically when I typically end the stream, which is around 9 o'clock my time. So hopefully that doesn't have too big of an impact. If anything, hopefully I have a little less viewers on the East Coast currently and a little more in Central West Coast, maybe even Japan or Australia. Speak to that market. And then me being later my time will be more convenient your time. I'm still screwing over Britain, but you know, we all said that was okay. A long time ago, us here in America said it was okay to be mean to the British, and we haven't stopped since. So, I'm continuing a proud tradition. I remember the first time I really thought about time zones was in watching the remake of The Parent Trap. Because they were talking about how, like, well, if it's X time here in New York, then it's Y time there in England. And I was like, that's stupid. That's dumb. I don't like that. Yeah. I'm always going to be a proponent. Let's get this universal time going, baby. Because I'm tired of doing math. I'm tired of doing math for my friends. What? Oh. You know what that is? Okay. I was very confused, but I understand what's happening now. I see what's happening here. Face to face with greatness on a screen. Math? What? Yeah, exactly. It's a bad idea. Stay away from math, kids. Were they talking about math or meth? Stay away from both. Best idea. Hey, listen. If you stay away from math, you might find some problems in life. But if you stay away from meth, then that's even better. So I say, if staying away from one means staying away from the other, then it's worth the trade-off. I mean, math. Yeah, sure. Sure you do. Shadow Mage. You know, popular YouTuber, YouTube animator, Odd Ones Out, has talked before about how he likes math and has thought about being a math teacher in the past. And I remember he's made comments about just like, you just don't like math because you don't get it. And I would be like, I mean, either way, I don't like doing the work so much. I mean, I'm glad. Here's the thing. I can get being tired of hearing people hate math, but if you like math, good for you. I'm just very bad at it. And also, I don't know if I talked about this on stream, but people act like you can throw away history, learning about history in school. And I agree the history curriculum should go be looked over for multiple reasons in different schools, but I think history is very important. Latter half of math in grades K through 12 probably could chop that one. Probably could chop that off the block. If you want to specialize in a math field, fine, go for it. But I don't know why I need to learn about theoretical maths when I'm trying to make silly cartoons online. You know? I'm being put through the... I'm really getting put through the ringer here. For stuff I will never use. You know? Like, I cannot do it. And again, that's me. I can't do math. That's fine, but... I know my division. I know my multiplication. You know what? I count. I don't need things that only exist in theorems to get through life. But it's important to know your history. It's important to know about why things are the way they are. And stuff that has gone wrong. So that way you're not just like, hey. Maybe it's boring to some, but if you don't learn it in school, you're probably never going to learn it. And you could say that for math too, but I would argue you can't apply the math as much. So, ha! Beat you to the punch. Punched you to the beach. But yeah. Know your history. Know your history, my guys. Especially the more... I was literally just talking to friends about... In Discord about... some bad choices in history lessons being proposed at the moment. Let's not get doomer about it. I'm saying it now because it's so funny with how dumb it is. It is hilariously stupid. The thing they're trying to be like, yes, teachers teach your kids this. It's like, no, that's not accurate in any sense. So, you cut that out. Oh man, I need a vacation. I need like a, honestly, and maybe this is so stereotypical of me, but you know what I want? I legitimately just wanted. I have been to Disneyland once this year. Loved it so much. I'd like to go back again. Probably alone, because I could go a lot of places alone, you know, to get some peace and quiet. But if I'm going to go to one place alone, then I feel like Disneyland would be a good choice because I get to explore more of the stuff I'm interested in without worrying about weighing someone down. And then, you know, I'm not so just completely isolated, so I don't have to worry about getting sad. Because even as someone who very much enjoys my alone time, sometimes I get sad about not being around anyone. So, that's me. What else? My grandparents went to Dollywood recently, and they're telling me about that, and it looked neat. There was lots of cool things about it. I mean, frankly, one of the reasons I hold Disneyland, and I'm being very purposeful saying it like that, because I am talking about OG Disneyland and what it did in such high regard. It's just the good theming of the entire park. You know, like when I want to go to a theme park, I want the decorations and everything to look nice. I want to be able to not ride rides and still have a good time. And Dollywood seems to like have some of that stuff for sure. It seems to have some real neat stuff, but still not like the biggest thing. You know, something I am curious about is going back to. I've been to Hershey Park before, which is a big thing in Pennsylvania. A park for Hershey, the chocolate company, and they did a big redo of it. I haven't been back since then, so I'd like to check it out. And no one say anything about dark chocolate versus milk chocolate. If you like to taste bitter tree bark, that's fine. I don't care if I'm eating real chocolate. I'm eating something tasty, so it's good enough for me. That's my feeling about. I've probably talked about this before on stream. That's my feeling with Kraft mac and cheese. I know it's not real mac and cheese, but it tastes good. So we can call it something. We can call it like macaroni with flavoring, flavored macaroni, Kraft dinner. That's the name of it in Canada. That works. I'm fine with recognizing it as not real mac and cheese, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna stop eating it. You know? I feel like we've come to a wide consensus about that with Taco Bell. Taco Bell is not food representative of any country or culture, but it's tasty. So everyone's okay just kind of waving that by and eating it. So I propose this with Hershey and Kraft. Are any of these good for you to eat? No, but they are good. They are not good to eat, but they're good to eat. I was thinking about this today. I was super hungry. Got myself a pretzel dog from Pretzel Factory. And you want to know something? Sometimes when you're starving, bad greasy food is like the best thing. You can have healthy stuff, but I would argue healthy stuff only works to actually... Healthy stuff helps you live healthily. But if the purpose is to stave off hunger, stave off the sensation of hunger, sometimes you need something not so healthy. Am I making sense here? You get what I'm saying? sometimes the key to feel like you're not dying in life is to actually eat something not that good for you. So, but maybe that's just me and my tainted tongue talking. I was talking about needing a vacation. I feel like I just need a vacation because of my schedule. You know? I feel like I'm running around so much. I'd like to take off. That being said, I mentioned yesterday, I got myself a slightly better part-time job so I don't have to worry about those serious meat life concerns quite as much. And it does come with paid time off. So who knows? Maybe if everything looks clear, I mean, hopefully, honestly, by the time I earn paid time off, I would probably want to get vacation long before that. So, I mean, I probably still would take a vacation to myself, but regardless, I need to do something, and I'd still want to do art. I still want to work on commissions and junk while I do it. I just want to be able to relax as well, not worry as much about certain stuff in life. Maybe that's the appeal of being a pirate for me, you know? I mean, some people are afraid of the ocean, but I like the idea of having a ship and sailing across the largest parts of the planet to new locations. Not really worrying about before or after. Speaking of, I hope the live action One Piece is good. Talked about a lot, but I mean, new adaptations of a great piece of art can be good. It doesn't constantly recycling IP. It doesn't always mean it's going to be bad. Sometimes, something needs to be adapted again because it could be adapted better than it was once before. I mean, I feel like it has to happen eventually, you know? Hopefully animated, just give them the style of One Piece, but especially with recent episodes, which I've actually been watching even though I'm not a big fan of the anime, at some point they would have to redo One Piece just because, given that its anime adaptation started so long ago, when it was still being produced, it had no choice but to include filler and filler arcs, which I've heard are good, but still. I mean, you have One Piece, which is an edited down version of the anime to kind of more closely match the manga and fix pacing issues present in the anime. So I don't think it's crazy to say that eventually there will just be a new adaptation of the material that more matches that fan edited version, rather than only ever relying on the one. I mean, I feel like the reason something like Dragon Ball, well, I was gonna say it hasn't got reanimated, but we got like Kai, and granted that's not reanimated, but it is like re-edited, among other things. But still, Dragon Ball's anime adaptation is in part what led so heavily to its success, so that's kind of a different situation where even if you want to argue the adaptation is different or not as true to the source material, it is so key to so many people's experience with the idea, with the concept, that to readapt it in the same medium would be a ludicrous thing, you know? It's hard to think of another one. I mean, I could just say Lord of the Rings again with the Peter Jackson movies, but I feel like there's other reasons for that, just besides the fact they were acclaimed and everything. Because there are different adaptations of Lord of the Rings. I just don't think they're doing a new one in our lifetime. Maybe I'm wrong though. given how current things are going, but that's me. You know, it's funny because I was listening to my brother and me podcast, and they were talking about like not, because that's a joke they'll do where they jokingly talk about like making new movies or whatever, but like they were avoiding it because of the strike. And it's ironic, mostly because even though I guess it kind of saves you some work in making a movie or whatever to adapt something rather than make it whole cloth original, it's still a lot of work to write up everything, bringing it from one medium to another. I had an entire class about that in college. So make it just sticking to adaptations currently isn't going to save any studios from the strike. Especially because that's not exactly, wouldn't be a shocking change of pace for Hollywood. You know? So we're all, a lot of people are jaded on superhero movies right now, and that's all that is. Superhero movies are just adaptations of written works. Whether we want to argue if the written work was worth adapting, that's something for a different thing. I think superheroes are great in a lot of ways. I should have it on my tombstone that comics have the thing I say about comics, where it's sometimes they're the best writing you've ever experienced, and sometimes they are the worst things put to page. But it's true. I mean, I would argue that makes them one that gives them a reason to be adapted. You know, the last villain for the Spider-Verse movie, the Spider-Verse sequel, was the Spot. And more often than not, though there were some instances where he kind of evolved like he did in the movie, but he was treated like a joke in the comics. And I'm not trying to be like, I'm Team Spot, but that's why I was like, no, this guy's got cool powers. I don't get why he's being treated like a joke when he is very clearly incredibly capable of being a threat. And then some writers actually did go for that angle. It's funny because there's actually this really cool, I forgot it existed because my collection of Ultimate Spider-Man doesn't go up that far, but there's a issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, which is the comic Miles came from, where the Spot appears, and it's Peter telling Aunt May, who now knows that he's Spider-Man, like he's telling him about this weird encounter he had with the Spot, but you know, it doesn't go comic-y wise because the Spot doesn't say anything. He's just checking up on this warehouse that exploded, and then a guy covered in spots starts attacking him. And you know, Ultimate Comics did some not great stuff, but on the other hand, sometimes they did have these cool ideas of how to adapt older comic material from Marvel into updated stuff. The new, more kind of slightly more modern perspectives on superheroes and superheroing. I liked. I'm not the biggest fan of Ultimate Cap. I don't think he was updated in a very interesting way, but I like Ultimate Iron Man. I think he's got a cool suit and shit. It's also kind of interesting because they justified his super intelligence through a mutation, which also makes him incredibly sensitive to pain and physical sensation. So the suit becomes even more important, you know, as opposed to before, where it was basically like a piece of medical equipment that was keeping his heart from being stabbed in the original comics. Now it's like literally just like, no, this just makes my living experience better because I'm not in constant pain while enclosed in this armor. It's a bit better. He still looks like Tony, and for the most part, he can still just act the same as Tony, but little extra details. Though I haven't read Ultimate Iron Man. If you don't know much about the Ultimate comics, the real part where it really kind of veers off from traditional Marvel fare is during Ultimatum, because Ultimate Magneto, so sick of humanity, decides to use his already very destructive powers to tilt the Earth on its axis. And that leads to a lot of people dying, including a lot of superheroes. A lot of superheroes die, and they just stay dead. Like, a lot of superheroes die in Ultimate Comics, and they just kind of stay dead. So, in that place in particular, because, like, in that event alone, Wolverine and Professor X died. So, like, already, knowing that they don't come back, or haven't come back yet, because apparently they are doing some new stuff with the Ultimate line, despite the fact that Miles is now in the 616, so I guess that universe just doesn't have Spider-Man right now. You know, currently those kinds of big figures are completely just removed from the game in the history of the Marvel universe. Changing it up. I think that's kind of the benefit of something like Marvel, where the mainline Marvel, even though, you know, ups and downs with any comics, ups and downs. Like, for example, as I've said many times, Spider-Man is going through a rough patch in terms of writing right now, but you know, they have a long, contiguous history. So, I think one of the things that made Ultimate Comics work so well is it's kind of like alternate history for the Marvel Universe. So you know how things are supposed to go or have gone in similar situations, only for them to go wronger or differently than expected in the Ultimate Universe, which is fun. It can be fun, even if sometimes it's edgy or whatever. But it's a whole thing. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and I'll be right back to continue this. I just ate before this. Hello. Oh my goodness. It takes so much. It takes a village. I was just thinking about. I was thinking about how much I'm looking forward to sleeping tonight. And you know something that was genuinely helping me with like anxiety about plans and everything earlier today? Y'all know I like pirates. Pirate themed on the stream, making a pirate cartoon. And sometimes it just helps me with anxieties from plans. Think about how like pirates don't worry about that stuff. They get rich and then they spend their money on food and booze and lots of other stuff, and then they get rich again. So maybe I shouldn't stress as much. Maybe I should really embrace the pirate style in order to be a bit happier with what I've got when I've got it. That old chestnut. Look for the bare necessity. That's not. I love how I'll sing like a different song as I'm playing music on the stream. And like it doesn't match up at all. That's always nice. Okay. So here's what we gotta do. So I gotta figure out how to make like the whole thing crack apart. So that way it can fall away and then we're left with the we're screwed. So I guess that's what we're gonna be doing. Hold on to your seats, ladies and germs. I mean, so what should make it easy is that cracks follow a path. So I don't necessarily need to draw like individual frames of stuff cracking and think of like how it moves every single one. I can just kind of make crack lines, which is not a drug euphemism this time, trust me, and then follow those throughout the redraw and redraw this. I love the swamp of sludge my thoughts have to go through in order to get to my mouth. I don't know if anyone else feels like that. Is that mental illness? Like what's the cause of that? Doth I wonder. But oh. Okay, we'll start. So this is the corner. So I would argue cracks should be starting from here. How about we do like right. Well, I mean they should be jagged, but I mean maybe I don't need to make them look too jagged in the sketch because it's a sketch. So Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow. Wasn't the ending of Cars 2 an attempt to assassinate the Queen? The Queen car? And that's also the movie, or the Pope, was it the Pope car? Oh no. I do know that's the movie where everyone points to it and just like, if there, not only does a Pope car mean there's car Christianity, it also, the fact that he has a Pope mobile with like bulletproof glass means there were assassination attempts because the Pope mobile apparently had glass installed after assassination attempts failed. So yeah, I remember watching a video about Cars being Pixar's least thought out franchise, and I mean sometimes. Sometimes it's like, yeah, Because usually what they're doing is like taking a concept and kind of just fleshing it out a bit more, but sips coffee. Have a coffee, Greg. Morning. Is it morning where you are, Greg? It occurs to me I don't know what time zone Greg lives in, but I hope he's having a good time zone. But yeah, sometimes stuff in cars is just weird. Not where I am. Okay. That's what I figured, but I wanted to check. Contrary to popular beliefs, I don't have everyone's home address and time tattooed to the inside of my brain. I don't collect y'all's information like that. I know some of you will be heartbroken to hear that. But Cahill, I signed your terms of service assuming that it would mean that you would know everything about me. Like a DM. Nah, you're good, Greg. You don't need to go doxing yourself like that for me. Time zone, you can give me your time zone if you want. And then I know what time zone you want, but that's up to you. Personal choices. This is not my story to tell. And I don't think Spooky lurks in my streams, but if she does, then this will be fun for her to pop into. Eastern US. Oh, heck yeah. So same as me. So it's afternoon. So it's afternoon where you are, because I know Eastern US. I was just talking about that, Greg. About how I'm probably gonna have to stream later because of, you know, works. But anyway, Spooky has gone on record on public streams saying she sent like all her information to her first friend online, which is a horrible idea. And she was like, I'm still friends with that person, and I'm lucky there. So I love how it just looks like I'm doing cool lightning strikes across the letters. And she was like, I'm lucky they were cool, because that could have broken down. I have enjoyed in the past watching a bit of the Chris Hansen, you know, to what was I thinking of? Watching them catch some creeps online. Sometimes it's very good. Sometimes it's just bad, but sometimes it's good television. So it's like, yeah. Get 'em. Oh, get 'em. Get 'em. Get 'em. I wish there was like a slow-mo archive of all types of actions happening. Because if there were, then animators could just go into that slow-mo archive, screenshot each, you know, each individual frame they really want to focus on drawing, and then use it as reference for their animations. I do not believe an archive of such exists. It's just like YouTube, and if you want to go to YouTube and play it at like, you know, 25% speed, then you can. It probably won't look that great. And it'll probably be hard to scrub through the frames to get what you want, but it's something you could do. It's just not optimized for such a task. If YouTube cared about animators, a lot of their algorithm would be different. Ironically, as much as I'm counting on this, you know, wanting it to be a big success, even if it is so on YouTube, it doesn't mean really anything. Just because the stuff YouTube prioritizes makes it incredibly hard for individual small-time animators to make big careers out of it. Typically what you'll see is, you know, what's the thing, you know, story times, which will have more limited animation, more focusing on the content, occasionally using animation to help exaggerate details. Give me 1 second. Small time until comes their chance to be a big shot. I want to check out something. Oops. My door wiggled and I couldn't tell if it was my mom or again, dog I'm pup sitting for one more night. And that made me concerned. I was the character in a horror film just there. Being like, what was that? That's me. That's the decisions I'm living with, you know? Having something slightly off-kilter happen, my first decision is to investigate myself alone. I'm sure that'll go well into every film. Don't do a murder. Don't do a murder. So, my idea of this isn't necessarily far for the yes, and it will be gone for 2 months, Greg. Given both overwhelming support and extenuating circumstances, this month is already completed, and next month will be on me. So, no one has to worry about giving me money. It would be appreciated, but not necessary. So, y'all will get a special extra long stream the next 2 months, regardless of how much money I make. So I appreciate y'all. 2 months, yes. So September we'll have an extra long special stream because we reached that goal already, and then October we'll have one because I've decided to waive the goal for that month after messing up the thank you stream the other day, which I was just going through and editing the first part of to get rid of so much of the technical difficulty bits. I'll even leave that one part in where we were trying to figure out Uno, and I started and I was made my friends laugh with how mean they were being to me. It becomes Octobrine, yes. So, hey, listen, when we get back around to it, well, okay. So I guess what I should say is that there will be a progress bar in October, but that will be for the special stream in November. There just won't be there. We just don't have a progress bar for the rest of this month and September. So the special spooky streams are taken care of. Don't y'all worry about it. Your old buddy Cahill's got you. You know, similar to Shark Week, I've not done really proper Halloween festivities out of just immersing myself in spooky stuff in quite a bit, just because of the way life works out around that time of the year. And granted, I mean, typically I will not always do things on my own, like make plans for myself by myself. It's one of those things where it's just like, I don't know, maybe I should say no to plans, so I can just be like, I want to prioritize making sure I do seasonal things. But maybe I'm being a baby. Maybe I'm being a big old baby. So, it's just weird how life works out sometimes, you know? Sometimes you crank that soldier boy, and sometimes that soldier boy cranks you. There's really no telling. There's no way of knowing which way we are going, I believe is the Gene Wilder quote. Unless it's not, and I'm a dummy. It's better down where it's wetter. You're right, Greg. That is what he said during Charlie at the Chocolate Factory. I can't believe I forgot that line. The classic Willy Wonka line from Gene Wilder. Should have known that one off the top of my head. Fuck them kids. So, I mean, I was thinking about doing this shatter a couple ways, but I feel like what the way would kind of like look and work best is if we did the kind of long build up, you know, a solid second or two of the cracks forming and just staying there for a minute, only to shatter into millions of tiny pieces, and like it unrecognizably explodes into little shards. I think that would be good. I feel like I've seen that. I've definitely seen that on SpongeBob once or two times. And when you're remembering stuff from SpongeBob, you can't go wrong. So. What I should do though is we're going to make a copy of this frame, except it will not be. Yeah, no, because I was gonna say, because again, to get that classic cartoon feel, that hand-drawn animation feel, I tend to redraw frames at least, you know, twice. If they're even if they're just standing there, and I was thinking about like maybe I should leave this as a single frame, a single drawing, so that way it kind of looks like they just left it as a, you know, static frame and put the crack animation, again, not that kind, the crack animation on top of it. But I feel like it'll be more organic if it does look all ungly bungly, if it looks all like it's moving. I don't think allowing it to be static would actually create the feel I'm looking for. So we will not do that. I'm saying this now and I'm realizing this frame is colored. That might create issues. We'll see. Haven't thought about it. Doesn't it happens? If I need to erase the colors on any individual frame, I'll do so, but I'll probably just still pull from this one as I continue to work on the shatter bit. I hope everyone's had a good day. You know, I like to say that, because hopefully you have. You know, don't want things to be too rough for y'all out there. So many people in my community are sweet. You deserve good stuff happening for you. So hopefully you lay down after any individual day and go, good! Oh, you've killed me. Good. Listen, I know lots of people who play games online play the CDI Zeldas, but I'm still thinking about it just because an indie game is coming out inspired by the CDI Zeldas. And that makes me think, if I want to stream that, then I should get a reference for the things they're basing it on first. And also, that definitely makes it a better trilogy of games than adding Zelda's Adventure on top of the other two CDI games. Because Zelda's Adventure isn't even bad fun, it's just bad. It's boringly, frustratingly bad. Which is always a problem you run into. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. I'm gonna do my best. Have a good one. But, I mean, honestly, you know what I could use? I could use lenses to help with screen glare. My eyes feel like they're drying out. Is that a thing? I mean, probably. I know you do damage to your eyes doing certain activities. But is feeling like they need to be moister a part of it? Maybe I literally just need to turn down the brightness of my screen. That might help. Make it feel like I'm not staring into a lamp. But what if staring into a lamp helps me feel like I'm better at art? I'm gonna go stare into the sun for a while. And hopefully that improves my artistic ability somehow. No, little German boy. Don't stare into the sun. Maybe I should redraw this frame twice, actually, instead of just, like, making 2 copies of it. Just so then I have the line art for it, instead of having to worry about the 2 colored frames. Is that good stream material? Just tracing over an image twice? Who knows? It's what you sign up for, though. Making a classic cartoon. That's why I'm always on my high horse about old animation. People will point out them reusing animation in different old school things, but I don't think they realize how hard it could be to make the stuff. And if you need someone on Twitter to point out to you that they reused animation, maybe they did a good job, and you didn't notice it when you were actually watching for the first time. Something I was surprised about when I went back to some old Scooby-Doo cartoons, like some of the classic ones not too long ago, was how smooth some of the reused animation was for different things. Like their walk cycles and everything were very well made and stuff. So even though they were reusing it a bunch, like it was very well done animation. And it kind of begs the question of, do you need to animate a bunch of individual walk cycles if you know, if they're gonna be just, if they're not really being used for anything special, you know? Like, it's one thing if you have like a action scene in a cartoon, and you need the character to be walking or moving in such a certain way, then I might be able to understand it. But fucking... If it's literally just... Scooby and Shaggy walk into a room for the millionth time, does it need to be original art for that episode? Or can it just be the same time you had them walk into a room the last time? So much art is about creating the illusion of life that I would argue if you don't notice, you know, kind of stilted similar movements too much, then there's nothing wrong reusing a walk cycle, because it's just, again, conveying the same information. You know, I mean, characters have, not characters, people have ways of walking, you know? Like little mannerisms they do that make it so that when they're casually walking from one place to another, it might look a certain way. And that's just how they walk. So, even though it might not be like pixel perfect, they are just doing the same action over and over again. Do you need to be retracing Shaggy's and Scooby's frames every episode to be true to that, or can you just reuse the animation because it is ostensibly what happens in real life anyway? Am I getting too out there? You know? That's the problem though. I mean, I don't know. I want to make so many of these shorts, but I don't know how much of this animation I could reuse later. I would love to, honestly, the idea of being able to reuse some of it would be neat, but I can't imagine what I would be, what I would reuse from the stuff I got so far. Maybe the flag animation I have, thusly, you know? Maybe Walt pulling out his telescope. But even then, some of them feel, so much of it feels tailor-made to the story of this little short right here. That it, because again, when you're reusing animation, you're not just doing it to be lazy, you're doing it because it would be stupid more than anything to redo so much work for ostensibly no reason. I think where it gets lazy is where it's like, no, we need a different action here. We need a whole different feel to this. I'd argue even like Sailor Moon reusing animation is fine because the transformation sequence, like, it's meant to be, you know, like, the whole thing, no matter what episode it is meant to just, like, fill time, be pretty, great spectacle about the fact she's transforming into Magical Girl. So with that in mind, like, you can reuse it, because if it's high quality enough, then, again, it's just conveying the same information of she's doing a very flashy transformation. It is the same every time, but, you know, we want to show it to you every time to fill out the timer on the episode. And just give a cool idea. I mean, like, you know, if they want to be lazy, they could have, like, a flash happen, you know? Could make the screen flash. And, like, off-screen she transforms into Sailor Moon in front of the monster. A still picture of the monster. But no, they recut the transformation into each episode, so... Whereas sometimes I'm sure it feels lazy, I'm sure in some episodes it works very well. I've only seen a bit of Sailor Moon. I was thinking just before starting about how I should probably watch more of it. The more classic anime. I think I was talking about it the other stream where I was like, I'm not watching Naruto because I don't have any particular interest in it, and Dragon Ball has kind of already filled in my brain slot of classic shonen, you know? Like, it's just by happenstance. It's not even because of personal preference. It's just like I saw Dragon Ball first, kept watching it, that filled in my idea of classic anime. Watching Naruto after getting into anime isn't gonna change much about my brain chemistry. So, unless I'm given more of a concrete answer as to why I should watch it, then probably won't. And even then, I might just consider reading it because I hear cool things about the mangaka, and so much of it's filler. And I know I say similar things about One Piece, but I'd argue One Piece is a little different because I'm not just complaining about filler. I'm complaining about like just episode pacing and stuff. There's reused animation for you, where it's kind of lazy, where they bother recapping stuff. We're cutting in flashbacks, which are just scenes they did in the last episode. That can definitely be lazier. But with that in mind, knowing so much of Naruto is filler, and how that kind of messes with the pacing, I feel like if I wanted to get its story for any reason, then it would be better for me to read the manga. I know people can... I'm not trying to compare Naruto and One Piece, because it's done way too much. Like, there's no reason to, but I'd also say I'm not... In general, I'm just not a big fan of, like, the designs and stuff like that. No, okay. Not... The designs of, like, the base ninjas and stuff like that, very cool. I love it when anyone's just kind of just chilling being a ninja. When they, like, transform into something, though, the transformation designs, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's a problem DBZ had. Well, not DBZ, because that's the thing. Dragon Ball, like, when someone besides Toriyama designed something as a transformation or whatever, it can feel very busy, whereas most of Toriyama's designs are simple. The biggest exception being Cell. He's as complicated as it gets. But I mean, one example is Broly. Broly, despite being a fan favorite, is not a Toriyama creation. And he's massive and rippling with muscle, and is wearing like jewelry and stuff. Compare that to Frieza, final form Frieza, and it's like, holy shit. What happened there? Also, I was browsing manga the other day and saw Sandland, which was a Toriyama manga he made not too long ago. And I was interested in reading that, and apparently it's only like 12 chapters. So they're much shorter than I thought it was going to be. But if anything, that almost piqued my interest more. I don't really feel like reading Dr. Slump, which was his work before Dragon Ball. Not because I'm like, oh, Dragon Ball is where it's at. I'm trying to come to the party for Toriyama, not his creation. If anything, it's more just because I know after Dragon Ball, he had evolved his artistic talents to such a point that I would rather see what he's done after the fact as opposed to before it, you know? See where the master has gone after he has gotten so many lessons, rather than before he's even begun training. Is Dr. Slump any good? I don't know. But even if it is, if I'm reading it, if I'm trying to read something for studying like the artwork and enjoying the work of a master of a craft, then I would rather read post-Dragon Ball Toriyama stuff than, you know, before Dragon Ball Toriyama stuff. I talk about these things a lot. I talk about very basic anime stuff, but one, that's because I'm not the biggest of weebs, and two, which I say that, but like I'm not even trying to be rude about it. I'm just like I'm not into that all that stuff all too much. But two, I'm also trying to talk about it and think about it in respect to that. Sometimes the popular stuff is popular for a reason, which is the creators are very talented. So I'm talking about it because for like like the stuff I'm a fan of, JoJo, Dragon Ball, and One Piece, all those creators are ridiculously good at art. Toriyama speaks for himself, and Araki is in the Louvre. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, you know, I'm studying the greats. Because I mean, when it comes to Western comics, I think about Jack Kirby and such. I mean, there's definitely other ones. The artists of the 90s, like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane. But I've also, like, I've had different variations of manga for a while, but typically it was tied into stuff that I like. I like Pokemon manga and Kingdom Hearts. So, even if I like those manga, they aren't genre defining. You know, they might not be made by what are considered masters. So when I get into one that is created by someone considered to be a master, one of the greats, then I'm really like, it gets my noodle going. I just realized I'm gonna. Last time I forgot to put the repeat album button on Spotify, and we went into a new album. Luckily, it was Hades. But I don't need Spotify being like, listen to Rihanna on stream, and I'd be like, well, there goes my channel. Goodbye, streaming on Twitch. I'll miss you. But Spotify has decided I should listen to incredibly copyrighted music using its algorithms. Algorithms. Why not take a quick break? Tune the radio. It's so weird. I'm literally, I was just relaxed and listening to the break song from Cuphead. It's so weird thinking about, you know, how strict some things are online. Because you could argue, should they be? Even if someone's got a big lawyer team, yada yada yada. If I'm not just straight up stealing a piece of work in order to say I made this, give me money, you know. I guess what I'm saying is, if I have a radio on in the background while working on a stream, does that mean I really should lose all the money for that stream? Despite that arguably being the smallest part of what was making the stream enjoyable. A percentage? Maybe. But so weird. It definitely doesn't happen in real life, you know? People go on the street corners selling cheap printed t-shirts of Mickey Mouse. I'm just thinking about stuff. Yeah, it's wild. Because at that point, is it just like how easy they make it? Is it literally just like, well, online it costs us near nothing to take stuff from you for using things we own the copyright to. So we're gonna do that. Versus we're not going to spend the money to investigate this, like, you know, cheap summertime job shop in Jersey for selling a Mickey Mouse t-shirt. So we're just gonna let them get away with it. So weird to think about. And what if I report the mom and pop shop for selling Mickey Mouse things? Will they do something about it then, huh? Dear Disney, I saw a grandma giving her granddaughter a Mickey Mouse t-shirt she made. Kill her. Love, Cahill. Dear Mr. President, I recently found out I can control electricity with my fingertips. My demands are this. Make a reboot of The Office, or I will be forced to take my final form, Dr. Shock. That's a TikTok. I'm quoting someone. See? I'm doing it. I'm stealing someone else's content. Are they gonna sue me? I hope not. But our TikTok's not the most stealable content. You can just duet someone. And then, like, you know, you get all the views. All the glory. For putting in, for taking their content and not putting in as much effort half the time. So, I'm ridiculously oversimplifying how things work on a massive social media platform. Well, there are some people who do stuff like that, so. There are people who post, like, clips of movies on there. I saw one clip today from, like, a movie, and it was definitely acted out, but it was, like, the scene was a climate scientist on a news show being a real doomer about the whole situation. And on one hand, I don't like the attitude because, you know, people who will have to deal with the consequences should feel like they need and should take action in order to at least minimize effects. But on the other hand, it is weirdly cathartic to just hear or think about someone just getting up in front of crowds of people who want to hear that, like, no, it'll be fine, we don't have to worry about it, and just say, you're all screwed. You know what I mean? Like, light a fire under their asses. Like, that's, because that's the thing. People are just like, I shouldn't have to be worried. It's like, no, you should, I mean, but then again, like, to a degree, you know, individual people don't have to be as worried because it's not the work of individuals, it's the work of big old companies. So it's not like you switching to electric light bulbs makes things better out of nowhere. So you don't have to feel guilty to that respect, but still. I like to be very chipper, but, you know, sometimes it's just fun to see someone break social custom and be very rude on broadcasted television, even if it's an acted out thing, you know? It's just like, that'd be funny. But, B-U-T-T, but, while I'm thinking about it, so much news gets your attention by being bad news, so we don't really need to feed that beast any more than it's been fed. That's just me thinking out loud, though. I don't watch the news. You heard it here from Cahill. Don't watch the news. All news bad. No more news. You know, looking at stuff, looking at just like general graphs and such, I wish popular games to stream were more interesting than they are. Like games that could feasibly get me better numbers. I wish they were more interesting than they are. Right now, the one that would be most interesting is Baldur's Gate, and again, I have no machine that could run it or stream it. But like, I literally said that, and then someone I follow went live with Baldur's Gate. But you know, I wish it wasn't literally just like, do you want to stream the popular game? Play a Fortnite. And I like playing Fortnite with friends, but I don't want to make that like A, the only game I stream, or B, the only thing I stream. You know? Then you go down the list and it's all kind of stuff like that, just World of Warcraft, yada yada yada. I'm just like, where's like some fun indie titles? You know? Granite, the material Granite, Dave the Diver was big for a minute, and I decidedly did not hop on that train in terms of streaming it on Twitch. So it's kind of a bet of my own making when I see something that is somewhat interesting and a smaller game title get up there on the Steam charts, not the Steam charts, the Twitch charts, and I choose not to get it and stream it. So that part's on me. But then again, I feel like I'm talking about the mainstays, you know. Lots of smaller titles will occasionally get up there just because they get picked up by people. And everyone's just like, we gotta stream it, it's so fun! Which is great, definitely. But... one second. Sorry about that. Weird stuff. I was just someone just had a question for someone came into my office, come into my lounge, said the spider to the fly, the spider to dress. I can't tell. Okay, if something has a horrifying face. If something has a horrifying face, I did it again. Why? Something has a horrifying face, but it can clearly and calmly talk to you. Does that immediately make it like less horrifying to look at? You know what I mean? Like you just get accustomed to Dave the Giant Spider. Like once again, Harry Potter provides us with a not good piece of I'm sorry, but you know, because in like those movies there's the giant spider, but it doesn't talk normally. It talks very scarily. Not to mention they're surrounded by hundreds of other spiders that don't talk at all. So they're just big spiders. But if a regular spider comes up to you and says things in plain speaking, then does that immediately make you less afraid of it? Does the ability to communicate with something, no matter how it appears, immediately make it, like, both its appearance and general presence less scary? I say we should do science on this, but then we might need to get talking spiders. And I don't know, and I'm not sure about that one, actually. I'm not sure if we can, or if we should. I.e. the questions they should have asked during Jurassic Park. Interesting, Questions? Maybe. But still. But still. It lingers. Even if we can make spiders and or teach spiders the ability to talk and make them intelligent enough to use it, should we? Do we have the right? Would it be good? I want our top people on this. I'm gonna make a Tumblr post about this. But still, you know? I will... Spiders. Well, that's what I'm saying, Val. If something's scary, like spiders... Because here's the thing. I have mild arachnophobia, where it gets really bad is if I see the face of a spider. If you show me a picture of a spider's face, I will, like, punch you. I will do a crime on you. It's not good, you know? So, but if it can talk, would that immediately calm me down? And would at some point I become so desensitized to the spider I can talk to that it's no longer scary at all? But regardless, the other thing I was going to say is that there's a sci-fi show I saw clips of the other day. It's really bad. Oh no. Let me do this. Try pausing and unpausing, or generally refreshing. Val is refreshing. A refreshing presence. Oh! Anyway, what I was going to talk about is that there's a sci-fi show. I'm not going to talk about it too much because, like, I don't know all the details of it, and I don't want to be like, I don't want to get into that deep of a conversation about it. But one of the concepts it brought up in a clip I saw was the idea of talking to animals, and after doing so, making it illegal to kill and eat animals. And at the same time, I get it, because if you can talk to them and understand they have human level or greater intelligence, or just general sapience, I guess. Like, not to be, because I would argue, in some cases, humans, if we want to act all high and mighty, should be better than nature. But, outlaw, like, where's the, like, outlawing, like, because do you just outlaw everyone eating all meat and killing any animal forever, including the animals? Don't get me wrong, I think the world should cut back on meat, but we might be going a bridge too far. Even if I were to say, like, if we can, like, truly synthesize without hurting any animals, like the taste of a steak or a hot dog, we should, but still, just outlawing all animal death ever? Do we get the animals to agree to that? How do we get the animals to agree to that? For as far as we know, that's how it's been since the dawn of time. I just think that's a wild way to change the world. Like, I get it and I support the sentiment. We should not hurt animals ever at all. And if we can find replacements to delicious foods we found we can make by hurting them, then we should take those replacements. I would argue the biggest problem we have now is that not all the replacements taste exactly like the things we are trying to replace them with. But it's just like the idea of outlawing the concept of death. That's wild. And I mean, it's also wild because, like, again, I support the idea of ending like just the mass, like, you know, like the mass consumption of it all, like making it so it's not like there's so much of it, the excess. But like if you get stranded, it's like illegal to hunt. Yeah, exactly. I want to draw a clear line here, in case anyone's confused. If there's a way we can, even I would go as far to say, like, if everyone could just agree we don't need meat anymore, then like, yeah, absolutely do away with it. We don't need to hurt any more animals. That's fantastic. I love cows. Okay, not hurting a cow ever again would be a dream. I'm just saying the idea of basically outlawing all hunting ever, the concept of death, is an insane thought to me. It would be insane. It is insane in the case where we are the only. Well, I guess we wouldn't be the only animal not to do it, because there are pure herbivores and stuff. But don't they harm out of self-defense? So see, this is what I'm saying. Where do you draw the line? Should we abandon Earth and let it be a terrarium for all other forms of life, free of our meddling? I say yes. That seems cool. It seems like the kind of thing Poison Ivy would want, except instead of me being okay with, like, killing everyone, I'm saying we all just fucking leave. But, yeah. Again, for me, it's the fact that, like, the sci-fi show was framing it as, like, this is now a universal thing. No one anywhere in the universe hunts animals and eats them. I guess that's better, but I don't know. It's better to some extents, and to some extents I'm just like, we have completely just this is like messing with nature in the complete opposite direction, you know? Instead of like overtly harming it, we are hoisting pacifism. But again, theoretical thought, and I would love it if an animal was never sad again. I have, since being introduced just to the idea of how excessive meat is, which I think is the real thing. It's excessive. There's a lot of it. This is what I'm saying. Okay, we're not getting doomer here. But what I want to say is, when you start thinking about it, so much stuff has like meat in it. Like it's really insane. To try and avoid it, it can be very hard. And you might say you don't care, but when you start thinking about it, like, let it just creep into your mind a little bit, and you realize how wild it really gets, and it's like, oh my goodness. Oh my. We might have gone overboard at some point. Is this a... Val, when did you get here? Have you been lurking for a while? I'm not trying to call you out, I'm just curious. Has this been a doomer stream? Because Greg left for work, but I'm just like, oh great, I was talking about global warming, and now just general animal well-being. I hope not. I'm having fun. I'm just thinking about stuff, you know? It's weird. Talking about spiders. Okay. So that was before the thing. But yeah. I don't know. Again, I think I said it not too long ago. And I said this stream, and I'll say it again. I don't like the idea of, like, that's life. Don't be defeatist. Don't be feetist. Like, you know. Do what you can. I would argue, my whole point about the animal thing, the sci-fi show thing, whatever, it's like, sometimes life is about struggling. Been reading Berserk. It's about the struggle to live. The will to push forward, you know? consigning it all to some dark future. That's not good. You're literally not going to get anywhere like that. So that's why it's dangerous to have that attitude. When you start not doing stuff because it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Okay, Eeyore from you're as mature as Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Like, it's not the better option. If anything, it's the dull one. So we should all everyone just, you know, I think everyone should just be like, you know what, I'm gonna go out there, do my best. I don't do a lot of those like daily whatevers, you know, the stuff where you say positive things to yourself. But you know what I find myself thinking a lot? I end up thinking when I get up, what are we gonna do today? We're gonna do our best. Because sometimes, even if I don't feel like I've lived up to that, it's better to think like, hey, I'm gonna try, than not even go for it at the first place. Like, be careful while driving, Val, please. Like, I'll be honest, like today, for example, just like general family stuff kind of got in the way of me doing things. But like, I went out, I shopped, got so let me weigh the pros and cons to you, my chat, of what happened today. I missed an appointment for something, but I was able to reschedule it after realizing. So, and I've set my reminder to do better in the future. So that's I feel like that's kind of a no harm, no foul sort of thing. You know what I mean? Where, like I did mess up, but I was able to fix it, so it's just kind of mitigate stuff out. I shouldn't be guiding the judges. I went back to a stream to make sure I got a clip I wanted before the VOD went off of Twitch. I re-edited the technical difficulties part of the Monopoly VOD. I kind of sat around a bit because my family needed stuff and I wasn't going to commit to a project. That's something I find myself doing a lot. Maybe more than I should, but, you know, like just kind of sat around waiting for my family to need my help because sometimes that happens. Then I went out. I think I did a good job with that just because, A, going out is good, and sometimes if you have issues, it can be hard, but I went out to go get stuff. My family even joined me because they needed stuff, so that was a little fun. I got a hot dog while I did it. I know what I was just saying about eating stuff, but I was starving, hadn't eaten all day, and there was a delicious looking hot dog while I was out there. When I came back home, more family stuff in the stream. So, you know, not too bad, not too good, but all around pretty square day. And I think in a lot of ways I did try my best. And I hope you keep trying your best. Because, you know, no matter what happens, as long as you try to do good, I'm proud of you. You're doing great. You know, I'm not gonna go full parasocial and be like, I love you. But you want to know something? If no one else is gonna tell you, I'm proud of you for trying as hard as possible. You know, I know even if it's not action movie or life or death, some choices can be tough, and you're not, you know, feeling like everything's gone the way it should. But I'm proud of you for making it through it, getting to the end of the day, and hopefully if you just keep trying that hard, you'll get to a day where you feel like you got that 100% completion. You know what I mean? I hope even if some days you feel like stuff falls short, that the next day you reach those gold stars and everything. And I'm proud of you for always trying. So, keep trying out there. That's always my motto. You know? You got an idea, keep going for it. I'm just listening to tap dancing. I do like that. I have contacted someone about the music for the short. I probably said that on stream before, but you know, very sparse communication, which I do not blame them for. If I was going faster on this, then I would definitely make sure I was checking up. But with how slow I can go on it, not being able to work on it for stretches of time, there's nothing wrong with them taking their time with the music. Perfectly chill. And the fact they reached out to me being like, hey, I'm going to keep working on it, I was like, thank you. It means a lot. Helps a lot. So when that's all done, I'll make sure to give them a shout out. The only reason I'm not saying who it is right now is just because I want to make sure, you know, it's all set. I don't... You ever do a thing where you're watching an old video from someone and they say something and you go and check to see if it happened? Like, that's what I'm trying to prevent right here. I don't want people to be like, hey, he said they did the music, and then they go check and it's like, they didn't end up doing the music? I was like, they don't need that pressure. I want it to be chill. They, you know, I'm giving them wiggle room because it's not that big. And if they're lurking right now, you're doing great. I hope you know what I'm saying. I hope you know the main point I'm trying to make is that there is no pressure. I appreciate you immensely, and that's where the money's going right now. By the way, to anyone wondering, the reason we don't have other animators is because I was like, I can animate. I can't do the music. So like, if I have to hire one more person on the project, it's gotta be a composer. You know? The thing I am physically incapable of doing myself. Granted, the music I want for this is like sea shanties, so I'm sure I could like go onto like a free archive somewhere and find like public domain sea shanties from a long time ago. And heck, maybe that would even work better. But I think it would be better for it to be original for the cartoon rather than just something pulled from Depths of Online. That being said, something I would love to do in a future cartoon is like, I think SpongeBob and other cartoons in, you know, good funny cartoons in the past have used like public domain black and white footage of stuff happening, and I've always laughed a lot at those. So, especially given that these are black and white cartoons, I'd love it if I could find a way to work them in at some point, but that would have to wait until it kind of a gag or a story naturally kind of evolves into that. I mean, I was already talking about how I want to play with like the genre and art style in order to tell stories in this already. I don't think using the live action footage would have any story ramifications. It would probably just be for a gag, but we could always end up seeing. What I really need to do is go back and redo the map. The basic map I made for the world is okay, but A, I want to change some names, and then B, I want to just add more detail, make it look more like a proper map, old-timey map. Is anyone in chat a professional cartographer? and can I interest you in a job? I would need samples. See, this is the thing where I'd be like, listen, if you don't have cartography work that matches like this, then... Because you can be a cartographer, and I'm sorry, Val, I wish I could hire you. And Val, Val, are you looking for a very badly paying job? What are your specialties? I was going to say, if you're not a cartographer that can make a map in the style of like a 1600s world map, then I unfortunately cannot use that because I need someone who could make like a very old-timey looking map. I already have one. Damn it. Wait, Val, you have a not good paying job in modern US economy? No, we're not getting into that. I feel like I've put cheery spins on the last two subjects. We're not getting into job stuff. Even though I did talk about the strike. But that's because we gotta support the strike. You know, let me check on something. Let me check on the VFX union. Because that wasn't a thing. Okay, it's still just kind of in progress. No real updates yet. Yeah. Because a post was going around before about how, like, before, like a while ago, the idea of VFX workers unionizing would have been very hard because you could get other people to replace them. But with so many strikes going on, there aren't people to replace those workers, and as such, they are in the perfect position to unionize. And then they did it. And then the internet post happened. Okay, and runs with... Ah, yeah. I've heard different stuff about that kind of industry. That being said, I did walk into like an Acme one day, and I was like, you know what? This is a very calming atmosphere. Maybe I should get a job here. That's what I want, you know? I want a job at like a mom and pop shop. Where like, plenty of people come in to keep it open. You know, business isn't necessarily lacking in terms of what they need, but it isn't nearly the kind of flow that fucking the place. I worked at Disney. I don't know if I talked about what specific job I did at Disney. I'll say it. I worked at World of Disney. And if you don't know what that is, no, I'll save the story for after the ad. I'm stalling for time. Because I want to continue. If I'm not, I don't want to declare it and be like, what's he talking about? It's just wild because I was like, I'm not being like what I say is important and everyone should hear it, but I was gonna say like a fact that would need to be heard and understood, or at least, you know, had the possibility to hear and understand it beforehand to understand what I'm talking about going forward. So if stream itself is going to cut me off, then I'm just gonna wait. Because otherwise nothing else I'm gonna say is gonna make sense. So, I mean, I'll say like my first big job, which I did for so long, was at a restaurant, and it was a very, I will say one thing, the restaurant I worked at, the work kind of sucked, but it was a very nice place to work. It was a super nice restaurant. So I don't have, I worked there a long time and I don't necessarily regret it. Because in many ways, despite some of the shittiness, it was good to me. But besides that, Val, I was going to say that the specific job I did at Disney was working at World of Disney. And like, sure, working at Disney World, you're going to see a lot of people. World of Disney, if you've never been there and you don't know what it is the biggest store they have. It is the biggest Disney store on the planet. And if you don't know, okay, let me paint you a picture. So all Disney parks being inspired by Disneyland, the Magic Kingdom or whatever else you want to call it, have the castle like here, right? Poop, magical, yada yada yada. And then they have, and then you have the hub. This is where my theme park design is coming out. But the hub, that's the big thing about Disneyland that I love. The hub, it goes out to other places. There are roads and pathways leading out to every otherwhere else in the park. But to get here, to get from the entrance to the castle from the park, is Main Street, right? Main Street, which is a recreation of a turn-of-the-century town in America. Okay, so I worked at World of Disney. It was not in a park, it was in their shopping district in Disney World. The closest store to our size and, like, general stock was the Emporium, which is this entire side of Main Street. The entire, like, 2-block, you know, side of this theme park entrance, like, literally the size of a 2-city block, that was, like, our sister store. It was almost as big as us and almost saw as many people come in and out. That's how big of a... That's how... This is... What I'm describing to you right now is the most visited park in the world. And this right here, the giant block of merch shops that sits in front of it, that was second to where I was working. Yeah. And Val, this is what I'm trying to stress. If you've never been to Disney, you might be like, that's huge. It's pretty big. I've been, you know, I go to the parks. I enjoy it. Like, it's fun. But, like, it is literally the size of 2 city blocks. And it was second to where I was working. So, a lot of people came through. Like, the problem was, not everyone would buy stuff, but our sales would be closing in on, like, 1 million some days. Like, 1 million people came in and bought something. You know? And that was, like, a fraction of the overall people who were walking through the store. Because the store would connect to different parts of their shopping district. People would come through it because it was air conditioned. So you could come in one side and leave out the other, and you would have walked through part of the shopping district already. And I was just out there. And it was a good store to work at. Like, I had fun working there. But I'm sick of dealing. Oh yeah, I mean, they constantly talk. There were lots of stuff happened there. I'm not gonna, like, literally none of it. Like, let me not get in trouble with Disney. I don't know if they will care about me talk about all this. Like, nothing, like, some stuff would happen, but it was never so bad that, like, it wasn't more than you would hear at your average, like, Target worker or whatever. Just very typical stuff. The occasional person being a weirdo, but whatever. But this is what I'm saying. Like, I did like working there. I'd like to do that much smaller scale. I couldn't do register. I actively avoided doing register as much as I could. I would have anxiety. I would have panic attacks on the machine. Because you are constantly going nonstop, handling so much money. So imagine when you screw up. Both on the customer side and the person's, and on, like, the business side. Like, that's not good. So, and you know, a lot of the people I work with, who were over me and everything, super nice. There were some amazing people I worked with there. But, like, my head wasn't like, no, they'll be fine with it. If anything, it made me, when people are nice to me like that, it just makes me think, like, don't screw up, don't disappoint the people being so forgiving towards you. You know? You want to surprise them with how good you are. So, lots of pressure. So I would like to do that, but not with literally millions of people all the time forever. You know, if every day could not be quadrillions of people. Yeah, no thanks. Exactly. Like, this is what I'm saying. I'd very much just like something a little more low-key. And no, not Disney's low-key, now streaming on Disney Plus. Lord. You know what I don't like? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Again, I don't want to say in spite of being, like, a franchise-esque movie, because, you know, Spider-Man is a franchise, it's using the characters, yada yada yada. But like, because there are movies from a franchise that are incredibly good, you know. Artists are gonna artist no matter how you do it, and sometimes they grow up knowing and being in love with the character, so their art is going to centralize around those characters and ideas, making it that much better. So licensed franchise stuff can be good, whatever. But what I don't like is people, since like the MCU in its death gasp is doing like multiverse stuff. I don't like them being like, it's going to connect to Spider. No, Spider-Verse doesn't need to be connected to the MCU. I had in the past been a big fan of the MCU, defended a lot of its stuff, liked a lot of its movies. Spider-Verse is not a smaller part of the MCU. It would outshine 90% of the project's contents in being associated with it. You know, in terms of how much work goes into just a single second of those movies. So, fucking, I don't need them connected. I don't want that for the MCU. I don't want those things to, past or present, I don't want them to be have to be compared to Spider-Verse. And I don't want people acting like Spider-Verse is just a part of the MCU. So, fucking, I think it's best if they never touch each other. The joke Miguel makes in the second Spider-Verse, that's as good as, I think that's as good as we should get. That close as they should be to each other, you know? It's like, yes, we know the MCU is a thing. We know there are other universes. It's one of the other universes, naturally. We're not gonna do it. Well, okay. So, Val, this is where I would push back a little bit. In that, I like the comics being connected. I like the superheroes existing in a fleshed out world that has been made and crafted literally over a century of storytelling, starting like in World War II with the classic Captain America comics and Namor the Submariner. But does that have to connect to like the TV show they're making? No. Does it have to connect to the movies? Absolutely not. So, fucking, they did a thing. This was so bad. They did a thing in a Justice League comic not too long ago, where they had not Shazam. They had Black Adam do the people's eyebrow. They drew a panel of Black Adam looking like The Rock, and like, that's not great because Black Adam in the comics has pointy ears and weird hair. So wait, you know what? Let me see if I can find it. Why not? Like, let's have some fun. Like, and in case anyone thought I was going to go in a different direction with that, I would like to say, race doesn't really matter. But pointy ears and weird hair, yeah, that... it looks weird on The Rock. Black Adam. Dwayne Johnson. I actually thought he looked really cool as Black Adam. Like, he looked cool in the suit and stuff. Comic. That... Yeah, here it is. You'll see what I mean with the hair. Where? Yeah, here it is. This is what I'm talking about. With the widow's peak. He literally looks different in the frame before this. He has a little less square of a jaw. The widow's peak is really what's killing me. Like, Black Adam is a super old school villain. So, I mean, maybe it's fair to say that no one can pull off this look. But I don't, like, again, I'm looking at, like, the other images here, and he looks good in the suit in the movie. Like, as far as costuming goes, and, like, physique, he looks great. This, this is an issue. And also just the fact it's the eyebrow. I'm just saying, it's like the most awkward elements of both. His eyebrow and Black Adam's hair. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Not many characters do Widow Peaks well. And anyone ever drawing Dwayne Johnson doing this eyebrow is a bad idea. So... it's kind of funny. The problem is that it's at the end of what's supposed to be a big dramatic event. So that's worse. I don't know if I talked about this on stream, but there's a joke at the end of the Barbie movie that I don't think really lands. The ending is so cool, and then this joke plays, and I'm just like that. I don't. you got very emotional there, and I don't think you needed like a punchline to end it on. Movies like to do that recently. I think that's might be the most damaging thing superhero movies have done. You have to end it on a quip. It's like, maybe no. Did y'all see Spider-Verse? Y'all see how dramatically that ended? Yeah. I want more of that. I want to feel like I've been, like, stuff has been fulfilled at the end of the movie. Not me. I don't want the sensation the moment the movie is done for me to be rolling my eyes. Because even if it's a good joke, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like, oh, you. And when it's every movie, I get too familiar with the sensation. But that being said, Barbie, to speak to that a little bit, is in no way just like, I don't think a typical movie. Barbie is so great. Like, I saw that movie, it's wild. I did not know what was happening. Like, story and theme was very cohesive and good. I didn't know what was happening minute to minute. It was an insane person's movie, and I adored it. And I don't know if, I think I said this on stream, but yeah. The fact it's not like, you know, inexorably tied to a very muddy history helps a lot, so. I haven't even really heard if Oppenheimer's, like, you know, it's Christopher Nolan, but I haven't heard, like, oh my goodness, movie of all time. I've yet to see Barbenheimer. I mean, if you're interested in Oppenheimer, I haven't heard anything bad about it, so definitely. I mean, I might recommend saving Barbie for last, because whereas I don't know if I can recommend Oppenheimer, I can definitely recommend Barbie, and then I can say 100% you'll be leaving the movie on the theaters on a high note, because Barbie ruled. Science rules. Okay. You want to know something? I've had a good time, but I actually think I'm going to go take it easy a bit. Because, you know, I have tried my best today. I'm chopping further way into this comic. I mean, not comic, cartoon. And we will continue to work on it very hard in the near future. But for now, I would like to send you all off to a good stream over Barbie, but I've also heard nothing exactly. And again, I think that's kind of part of it, unfortunately, to Oppenheimer's point, because I'm sure there were a lot of people who worked very hard on that movie and made it like made it good, blah 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 blah. And also, like, even though I've said multiple times now, I don't think Mr. Oppenheimer would want a movie about what he did with that, because I feel like he's probably against he probably was against glorifying those actions. That being said, you know, I don't deny it's worth telling those stories. The fact that I've heard there's a 15-minute sex scene in there is maybe makes me raise an eyebrow or two. Oh my goodness. Oh my. You know what? Y'all like Baldur's Gate? Y'all like Baldur's Gate? I hope you like Baldur's Gate. Because we're gonna raid Mr. Travis McElroy. And he is playing some Baldur's Gate. So I hope y'all are down to see that. He's some of those McElroy brothers I was talking about. I think he's literally just starting it, so it looked like he was in the opening cutscene, so maybe don't worry too much about spoilers. He seems to be very early days. Yeah, he is at the start of the game. Give him a chance. He's a funny guy. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. No art tomorrow. We're just gonna we're gonna try and see if we can finish Hades, or at least a run of Hades without Death Defiances. That's a whole bit, isn't it? But yeah. I'll see you later. Bye.